Will WWE NXT be a part of the biggest WWE show of the year? Will NXT be at WrestleMania? The NWA is back. Bobby Lashley is the new WWE champion. We're getting into all of it on a jam-packed Tuesday edition of WrestleZone.
WrestleZone.
Oh my God, what a vibrato you have. My camera went out there. Can you still see me? You can still hear me, can you, Kat?
I
Tyler?
hear you. I
don't know what happened.
You got so flustered that you forgot. You thought somebody else was you.
My voice was your voice is so high. You shattered my camera. Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm going to reboot. I'll be right back with you.
I like that. So, welcome to the Tyler Tree Show now. I'm the WrestleZone senior editor, and Kev will be back closely. I've been on this show quite a few times, but not lately. I've been busy growing the beard so that to make my reappearance, because it's very important. You know, wrestling is a looks business, and
what a fun start there, Tyler.
Oh, real fun. So I was just saying, wrestling's a looks business, Kevin.
Yeah, it is a looks business, and my looks.
We've had a pandemic. I'm kind of let down because you think, you know, we've been in lockdown. We don't have anywhere to go. Why aren't you growing out the beard, buddy?
Oh, yeah, dude, your beard game is on top. I know for the people that are doing the podcast here, I haven't had Tyler on in a long time. Maybe since probably sometime in the fall, maybe. And I've been wanting to get you on, and you're one of our top guys. He is literally behind the scenes of almost everything that goes on with WrestleZone. So for me to be able to get him, it feels really cool. I haven't seen you in a while. I talk to you every day. Yeah. This beard is fantastic. You have
long.
Dude, you're getting like Eric Rowan level beard right now. Like,
here's the thing about beards: if you don't do anything, they just keep growing.
I see. I got Saul Sultan texting the show all the time.
Braun?
He's like, "Is that Braun Strowman?" Because you got a Braun Strowman level beard going on here. Watch out! Wow. The Tyler Express is coming through. We have plenty to get into. If you guys are with us live for the first time, go ahead and get your comments on screen. If you're with us on the podcast side of things, hit us up on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. Plenty to cover. A lot of news today. We are less than 40 days away from WrestleMania. Tickets still not on sale. We get asked every single day. I'll tell you when we think they're going to go on sale. We don't know yet. That's the thing. That's the main thing that seems a little scary about that. But there's plenty other things in store here for WrestleMania. Let's get into this story, though. That's outside of WWE. The NWA is officially coming back. We heard rumblings of this over the past few days, but what's the main story here, Tyler?
So they're returning on later this month on March 21st for a pay-per-view. It's on a Sunday, March 21st. It's called Back for the Attack. And then just 2 days after that, in its usual Tuesday slot, it used to air at 6:05. I assume it'll be the same. Mm-hmm. But NWA Power is going to come back. This previously aired on YouTube for free, but it's going to be now a subscription bundle on Fight, which is the same website that's going to be carrying the pay-per-view as well. So everything's it's a completely exclusive to Fight now. That's a natural thing. You know, Fight's so synonymous with pro wrestling and internet pay-per-views. And when they did that show with CWFH Hollywood, they were doing that on Fight as well, and they had a subscription service. So they're kind of just continuing that.
They do it with AEW for international viewers who don't have TNT or don't want to wait for the show to be on the air on, I think it's not BT Sport, but BT Sport is WWE. But their broadcast partner, Sky, their broadcast partner in Europe, in parts of the UK, there's a lot of fans we talk to all the time and say, no, I get it through Fight. So I can watch it live, or I can watch it just, sooner, and you get it without a certain level of commercial interruption. And I was like, so there are a lot of people that want to cut the cord that way. If they just want one show, this is a way to do that. And it's a little bit more of a front-facing Patreon model. I know NWA's done some kind of Patreon type stuff, but it's interesting because they were giving the show away for free. You're going to reach, I think, less people, but you're going to be generating revenue from the get-go once you start producing these shows too.
Yeah, the whole back catalog of the shows also are moving to Fight, because they used to air on YouTube, so they had like 21 episodes on YouTube, 2 seasons, and they removed them all recently, which was like,
and that was alarming for a lot of people. They were kind of concerned about that. But if you follow media rights, it's like, oh, they're doing that for a reason. Someone's getting that. And so it was kind of just another shoe to drop. There were some people hopeful that maybe they were going to sign a TV deal, but oddly, I think this is probably a better deal for the way they've positioned themselves, how sporadically they tape content. They almost feel like Lucha Underground was, where it was like, we're going to do it seasons. We're just going to film everything for 2 or 3 months, not do anything for months at a time, and kind of almost like New Japan does that, where you won't see them do anything for 2 or 3 months, and they come back and they do a whole tour of stuff, and then it comes out on TV.
Yeah, it's good for them to have something at least for now, and you can always revisit television negotiations down the line. But, for right now, this is a very good fit. They have a hardcore audience that is willing to pay, that have shown, their previous pay-per-views were on Fight. So if Fight didn't see value in this, they already have all the analytics that tell them this is going to be a success for them. So it's smart all around. This is a good investment for Fight and a good move for them.
How much are they charging? Do we have that number yet?
So it's not official yet, but Inside the Ropes reported that it will be $4.99 a month, which is the right low cost that you would want for something.
That's not a bad price at all. Especially if you like that style of show, if they're going to film it the same way they did the previous show, where it's in the GHB studio and it's in an intimate setting and it's a throwback aesthetically. I know there's plenty of fans that just want throwback stuff.
Yeah,
they want it with the new talent, but to feel older.
Yeah, it certainly beats like a lot of those indie shows will have their iPay-per-views for like $20, $30. So $5 a month, you're going to get 4 shows, TV shows a month. Like, that's not a bad deal at all.
The question added, is the pay-per-view going to be included in this? I think the pay-per-view is going to be its own individual.
Yeah, pay-per-view separate.
Yeah. So I would expect that's going to be its own individual thing. You can't get everything super cheap though, right? So definitely getting that. This is quite the move by Billy Corgan in the NWA. Odd Connection. I'm performing at his coffee house.
Oh,
in like a week and a half. I've performed there before, so I'm gonna.
That's awesome.
I'm playing Madame Zuzu's. I've did it before. I'm gonna be playing it on March 12th. So maybe if I bump into Billy Corgan, I'll get him to go on the record about this. But they still have a lot of talent there though too. I mean, they kind of ran down the people they still have. They still have Nick Aldis, who I think is a guy who he had maybe 1 or 2 matches in the last year, but he's still the NWA World Champion. They have Thunder Rosa, who's had a ton of exposure recently on AEW Dynamite. They've allowed their talent.
I'm not sure if you were able to catch the YouTube stream they had last night, AEW's tournament.
I followed our results that we had at WrestleZone.
Thunder Rosa looked like a complete star. She looked incredible during that match, and while she was unsuccessful, like, she's somebody you can build a promotion around. She looked great.
I also think Camille is an attraction. Very large, statuesque woman. Reminds me of a more mobile and athletic version of Chyna back in the day in terms of just her demeanor and everything like that, and feels different. And also, there's kind of a lot of independent talent out there that isn't really locked into an individual deal with people. And, as much as people say, oh, there's so much people spread out, outside of WWE, even AEW, there's still a lot of televised wrestling going on. And I wonder from that talent who NWA is going to pick up and go with here. And of course, they had the sad news last week of losing Josephus, who was a big part of what they were doing. He played the question mark character, who was a huge part of NWA Power. If you watched NWA Power, he was on the show all the time, and he played various different characters in a couple of seasons for them. So I wonder where they're going to move, but I mean, good on them. These are brands that people said, oh, they're done. The pandemic did it to them. People said it with Impact. They're done. You always see those fans say that, and then we get announcements like this.
Yeah, they're sticking around, and that's good for a healthy wrestling business. You want more opportunities for the talent, and that's where we saw like Ricky Starks cut his teeth. There was a lot of good guys that came through that very first run, and while they've moved on, it shows that they can create some really notable names themselves. So it'll be exciting to see what they do.
Let's get into our other big story of the day. This came out just a few minutes before you and I went on air. WWE NXT, the third brand of WWE. All right. It fights head to head with AEW, and a lot of people say, oh, they snuff their nose at it, even though they know it's great. They kind of turn away from it. It isn't on par with Raw and SmackDown. It's a great show, but they don't treat it as a big enough show. Now, we had Vengeance Day on Valentine's Day, which was, I think, a fantastic show. Like, very well received. We had great response to when we did our post show, talking to everybody at WrestleZone staff. It seems like everyone else enjoyed it there as well. But now comes the news. There was some hope with 2 days of WrestleMania that if NXT wasn't going to have its own takeover the week of WrestleMania, like it usually tends to do with 2 nights of WrestleMania, that NXT would have some presence on one of those 2 nights of those shows. Maybe an individual match, some type of showcase, something black and yellow on the 2 biggest nights of the year for WrestleMania. But that doesn't seem like it's the case this year, right, Tyler?
No, WrestleTalk's reporting that NXT won't be at WrestleMania this year. And that is a disappointment because, we hear it all the time. Oh, NXT's not developmental. And it truly isn't right now because, they look at half of their roster. They're like mid-30s, like the top guys. Finn Balor's 38. Kyle O'Reilly's, I think, like 35. Bobby Fish is like 47. I'm always shocked. I find out, I go to Bobby Fish's Wikipedia page like once every 5 weeks. I'm like, he's that old? I'm like, whoa.
Looks great. I mean, he's unfortunately had some injuries recently. Put him on the shelf.
That whole body's breaking down, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the guy had some banger.
I wake up every day, my back's sore. I'd be missing that much time in 10 years too. But
I make this noise now when I get up from the chair. I make that noise, and I'm like, oh, that's not a good sign. If I'm making weird noises now when I get up from a chair, let alone doing what he's doing. Currently on the shelf, he's had a bunch of bad injuries, but you just bring up him and just the depth of NXT. They have a lot of really talented people that I think deserve the showcase. They have some great storylines, specifically that main storyline that NXT had last week that really kept them within 100,000 viewers in terms of overnight Nielsen ratings. Last week's NXT had a great angle that overran the show's normal time of Adam Cole definitively saying the Undisputed Era is done and ripping off the dog tags and low blowing Roderick Strong. This beloved faction is done. We have some idea of where we're going. He wants the title. He wants to do it by himself. Kyle O'Reilly, his former protege, is injured. He could come back in time before WrestleMania. The timing was going to line up where they said he'll be back in 5 to 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So that would line up for them to be like, he's back. It's a week before WrestleMania, and we're gonna have Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, maybe Finn Balor, triple threat for the title. A lot of fans were putting the dots together there, and they lined up pretty well. And it was just a matter of let's just draw the line to the next dot, and let's put it on WrestleMania. But it was never indicated that NXT was going to have a presence on WrestleMania. It was never indicated. Now it just seems close to official that we're not going to see something. Maybe they do something else that week. Maybe they get a takeover the week after. They get to do the something the week after to kind of roll over that. But I don't know. I feel unfortunate for NXT because I think they deserve a better highlight.
I mean, you think all the eyeballs on WrestleMania, you want to give them that spotlight. You want to give them an extra push because you're going to have so many casual fans that aren't tuning in on Wednesdays. And you can say, hey, these are what the top guys of NXT can do. Here's what Io Shirai can do. Showcase that amazing talent they have. Maybe they are beating AEW with the in viewership, maybe that could change if you actually treat it as a third brand rather than it kind of being in this weird in-between spot it is. And I think it's going to become more defined over time since there's that NXT Evolve show that's seemingly in the works.
They filmed maybe pilot. They filmed pilot.
Maybe that will be the full developmental show for them. So maybe that can be kind of like AEW Dark getting that second show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be more defined with NXT.
Steven Chambers, who's always with us in his Facebook profile and his comment here, always has a picture of his adorable dog, says, since no NXT at WrestleMania, will there be a takeover either WrestleMania weekend or the weekend before? Well, I don't see it WrestleMania weekend because you're already doing 2 giant cards, Saturday and Sunday, the 10th and the 11th of April.
I think maybe the week after.
Yeah, I think the week after it's WrestleMania. They get a lot of extra attention. That Raw after WrestleMania is always seen in a different way. I think, and then you roll that hype into another weekend. Like, hey, check in next weekend. We're gonna have another premiere show, another premium level show for you behind the Peacock WWE Network paywall. I think that'd be ideal, but mind you, there's no indication that that's going to happen. We're not the WrestleZone guys saying that's going to happen. Don't rush to that. That's just purely speculation.
I do want to have, here's some breaking news for you. Steven's dog is adorable. I love your dog.
Steve, breaking news. breaking doggo news. Let it be known that Tyler has the most beautiful Shiba Inu named after Kota Ibushi. You have a beautiful dog named Kota. It's a wonderful, wonderful dog there. And so
he hasn't told me that he's going to either unify any toy belts or if he wants to become God, though.
Your dog hasn't done that?
No, not yet.
You can't communicate that in a couple of barks? I'm a good boy. I'm going to unify the titles.
Also, I'm God. Whoa, calm down there, boy.
Oh, hey now, boy. Hey now. All right. You lick your own butt sometimes. All right. So that would.
I mean, isn't that what? I feel like that would be the ascended power. If I could reach my butt to lick there, I would probably be God.
We're 60 minutes into the show, and let me tell you, when I started, I didn't think we were going there. David Wayne is texting in here. He says, I knew the UE was going to split up the Undisputed Era. That's the big angle that NXT has going. They had over 3 years together as a faction, did everything they could do together. I hope Adam Cole is going to get his chance at Balor so he can win back the NXT title. If not, move him to Raw or SmackDown. You know, there's a lot of people saying that about Adam Cole and various people in NXT. It's like, oh, if you're just going to pull the big names from it. Why hold them there? I think as much as you don't see it on the surface, maybe sometimes, or we get exacerbated when we look at these ratings every week, and AEW is ahead of them. But it's worth noting is that NXT's had some major growth in numbers in the last month. Are they ahead of AEW? No, but they're within shooting range. They're within like 100,000 viewers of them. Now this week it could be different. It could be different. We'll talk about the new WWE champion, but we need to talk about the big news with AEW. Tomorrow night is a huge show for them. Probably one of the most important dynamites that they've ever presented on television. This one being dubbed Crossroads. It is their go home for a pay-per-view, a traditional pay-per-view airing this weekend through BR Live, Fight, and traditional pay-per-view providers, AEW Revolution. But the TV this week, I think a bigger story for them. It's the biggest celebrity angle they've ever done. They're bringing in Shaquille O'Neal from the NWA. He's going to tag with Jade Cargill against Red Velvet and Cody Rhodes. They're also advertising the on-screen debut of formerly known as The Big Show, Paul White. So a lot of people thinking that we're getting a Shaq Big Show confrontation. We're at least getting a Shaq match on television here. How big of a night is this for AEW?
Oh, it's big. You know, TNT is the channel for Shaquille O'Neal, too. You know, he's the star of their NBA coverage. So we'll get a lot of crossover there. And, you know, I always love when NBA Twitter, when they find wrestling, like some of the jokes they made about Chris Jericho.
Oh God, goodness. They were brutal. They were so brutal.
I can't wait until they watch tomorrow night. I hope they get a good crossover just for the tweets. I want to see that. But yeah, this is a big opportunity for them. You know, obviously the big showcase with Shaq, and if I'm being honest, I don't think that match is going to be great, but I think
it's going to be a spectacle. I don't think it's designed
I think it should be fun. I think it'll be fun though.
If Shaq can get in there and do a handful of things physically that sell his size and his over-the-top personality that he has, I mean, that's why people still care about Shaq, and he's been out of the league.
This is also Jade Cargill's first match, so I'm interested to see how she's going to be.
You think of the depth that AEW has in terms of really vetted, talented people that are TV ready. That is such a test for Jade Cargill and Red Velvet, who's basically filling in for Brandy, who, I mean, I think when they kind of pitched this angle months ago, they didn't know she was going to be pregnant, right? So it's a real challenge for the ladies in this match. And this is also Shaq's, mind you, he did WrestleMania. He was in a battle royal. They could hide him. He can just do a handful of things. For years, they teased that match with the Big Show. So, I mean, if he comes out here and doesn't look particularly impressive, you know, could that set up some bad expectations? You know, that's another thing, is there's high expectations with not you're putting some people in there that are really challenged by the circumstances you're putting them in there. Cody's going to carry this thing, I think.
The good news is that even if it's a complete flop, let's say it's the worst match AEW's ever had. They have a pay-per-view on Sunday. If that blows away, nobody will be talking about Shaq anymore. They have a shot at redemption. If worst case scenario, it stinks up the joint.
I mean, Tyler, on the surface, the idea is use Shaq's celebrity power to bring a whole bunch of new viewers to AEW, and then do it on the week you're going into a pay-per-view to hopefully sell the pay-per-view. Because I agree, I like the idea that I don't think NBA fans that love Shaq would tune in for a pay-per-view and put the money down for that. The $50.
It's a hard sell. It's a hard sell.
Hey, if you tell me to watch TV, if you tell me to watch TV and then you sell me a pay-per-view, a little bit different, a little bit different there, a little bit of a longer play there, not a straight line, but you're getting to the same result.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of an impact like just the NBA factor will have on the sales for the pay-per-view, because that is a big ask to be like, well, you can either just wait 3 more days and watch Dynamite again, or you can pay, $50 for this pay-per-view. And if you're a casual fan, you're probably going to be like, oh, I'm good.
Coming up, we will talk about the ridiculous story of Randy Orton and SOULJA Boy. We will cover that in just a few minutes, but I know some people want us to talk about it. Do you want to talk about last night's Raw results? We covered ratings. Their ratings were pretty solid. Down a little bit, but not too bad. But they showed with this angle they did throughout the night of teasing a match between Miz and Lashley for the title in 3 different hours of a 3-hour TV show, that they held a majority of their audience. And so it was a strong demographic show as well. They held the top 3 spots for the demos on cable TV for last night. Bobby Lashley is the new WWE champion. What'd you think of the angle? It wasn't so much a match. It was more or less an angle. And he is awarded the WWE championship. The Miz is purely a transitional champion since Elimination Chamber.
I thought Bobby Lashley looked like $1 million inside that ring. Miz sold great for him. He looked terrified. Lashley's in phenomenal shape. He looked like a true monster. He looked great. And obviously that angle worked to keep people sticking around to the end, most of them. And, that's great to see. And Lashley looked great. And I really hope they give him the chance to have a proper run.
You think he holds this title into WrestleMania? Are they going to do more shenanigans before we get there?
I think he'll stay champ.
Yeah.
God, he looked great, though. Him just throwing around the Miz. Like, oh, man, he's a powerful dude.
And good on the Miz, because Miz is a WWE lifer. I don't think I'd be very surprised if you see him wrestle somewhere else besides WWE. And he's a guy who's benefited from that. He has the reality TV shows. He has a bunch of things. So a lot of people say, oh, he's not a WWE guy. No, he is a WWE guy. He gets to do those things outside of WWE, but he's still a WWE guy. But this guy got dealt the cards. You got to get the belt. You got to get the belt off the baby face, and you got to put it on a different monster. We want to keep these monsters away from each other until we can pay it off at some point. Kevin Durgan texting and saying, Raw was good last night. McIntyre Sheamus was great. They had a fantastic match, didn't they? That was the best match of the night. When you talk about this Lashley Miz angle, obviously new WWE champion, a little bit bigger, but they beat the snot out of each other. What is the outcome here? Where do you see things going on Raw? There's been a lot of talk of different matches here, but Bobby Lashley is your WWE champion. That creates maybe some new scenarios for a title match on one of those nights coming up in April in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it seems Drew is definitely the Mania opponent. He just finished off the rivalry with Sheamus. That was a great match last night too. Hard hitting. It was great that they gave them like 3 solid segments to just have a nice long match. It got the blow off it deserves.
It did. It was odd. It was odd they did the blow off now, because it seems like they kind of finished Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, a former best friends thing. It seems like it's done.
Yeah, it was. I almost thought it should have been at Fastlane, because it would have been nice if it didn't have the commercial interruptions. But I thought, for a TV match, I thought it was great. It was hard hitting. Those 2 guys work great together. And hey, if we do get a rematch at Fastlane, I'll watch it. No problems there. I'd like to see it again. But yeah, it did seem like the end. But yeah, it seems like Drew and Lashley at Mania is definitely where they're going. And I'm hoping Lashley keeps the belt. I think there's just more fresh thing. We had a year of Drew, and it's a shame that Drew didn't get any events with fans at him, to really get that reaction he deserved.
That's what Mania is about. Maybe WrestleMania is just his redo. He gets to win the belt again at WrestleMania.
Very well could happen.
Very well could happen here. Let's get into a story that's probably even bigger than Monday Night Raw last night. Now, Monday Night Raw
SOULJA Boy we talking Soulja Boy now?
Oh, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him here. All right. I am going to crank that.
I'm going to crank that.
I'm going to crank that. I'm going to tell him. All right. I'm going to crank out some fake video game systems.
That hoe?
Yes, exactly. Yes, we are going to Superman the hoe of this story here. So you have this huge trending story of Lashley winning the title. It puts WWE's in the top 5 on Twitter. Bobby Lashley's trending. Wrestling in the ring, wrestling story goes pop culture, right? That's going to be the big thing of the night for wrestling. All right. Anytime we break into the mainstream conversation, always good. But the real story is ridiculous rapper and almost hip hop personality, less than a rapper at this point.
Yeah, nobody cares about his music. It's just what he's doing. He's just a tweeter, man. That's all he does.
He's also like a borderline like pyramid scheme operator. Like,
it's not borderline. He's straight up frauding.
I'm only saying that for legal reasons. Like, I'm only saying that to keep myself in legal safe territory. So Soulja Boy Tell 'Em put out a big hit song in 2007. Probably one of the biggest songs that year. All right. And it was a huge song. And he's done a bunch of different things. He made some money and stuff like that.
He also had Kiss Me Through the Phone, the classic ringtone.
That was a big hit.
That was the ringtone rap era, man. Remember ringtones? How loud was that?
You had to like you were selling like a Snapchat's worth of music and you're just making money on it. We both took a drink at the same time. So he at some point is just taking shots. He's always taking shots at popular rap people who are current now. He's made claims like Drake stole his aesthetic. He's like
that's what makes this so funny, is because he wasn't trying to diss like WWE wrestlers or anything. He was trying to diss the rap game here. Because the tweet that started this all off was rap game faker than WWE. So he's trying to take shots at other rappers here.
Yeah.
But what he did is not like the F word, and I'm not talking about the 4. Well, I guess this is 4 letters, but it's not the FU one. It's the FA one. They don't like
the
FA
fake one. It's the worst word in wrestling you can say is fake, right? And I probably would get more in trouble for saying that on a wrestling podcast than fuck. But the thing is, he says this, and T-Bar from Retribution says something. WWE wrestler contracted on TV.
You know what? I feel like T-Bar is also like Soulja Boy, where he's more relevant for his Twitter than what he's doing in his career at this point.
And he's having fun with it.
He's not disrespect to T-Bar. I love T-Bar. No. I love Slapjack. Poor Slapjack took the pin last night.
Oh yeah, the Retribution. Yeah, what are they going to be doing at WrestleMania? That's a fun that's a fun deep in the month conversation. But back to Orton. So like, T-Bar takes a shot at this guy and says,
I got a quote. Oh, you got it?
You have to know. You can read the quote. Go ahead and read the quote.
Okay. T-Bar says, does the rap game take years off your life and leave you with countless injuries and debilitating pain? Oh, well, maybe just stick to super soaking hose or whatever it is you did 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Put the years on it. Put the years on it, man. And so Randy Orton gets in the mix, and Randy Orton has probably one of the most entertaining Twitters in wrestling, right?
He's the man. He's my favorite. He's been great ever since he like took this photo with the Migos at the airport. He had no clue who they were. He just took a photo with them. Then like years later, he's like, man, I wish I knew who they were back then.
So
I love Randy, man.
So this gets crazier. We have the whole thing. You can read the entire saga of this, by the way, at WrestleZone if you don't want to.
We should do a reenactment, Kevin.
Randy then gets in the action. Okay, so the senior WWE voice, the respected locker room leader, Randy Orton, gets in the conversation defending wrestling and WWE to this provocative rapporteur, right? And he says, Crank That came out in 2007. You had a hell of a year. He starts with the sugar. He starts with the nice stuff. And then you can just tell he's like, hey, here's the nice thing. And he's just going to slap the shit out of him with something. He goes, Crank That came out in 2007. You had a hell of a year. Serious money sign. Hats off to you, my dude. Here's the thing, though. Now he's going to say The phrasing. Here's the thing. He's tweeting the way he wrestles. Like the stuff he does before he does the thing make the thing he does mean more.
Oh.
He's methodical in 120 characters.
And trust me, I popped. Yeah, I popped for what Randy was doing more here.
So he goes, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I like rap. I bump that shit all day. Whether it's Toon Chi, Meek, Jay-Z, but you call what I do to survive fake? Fuck that. Come to my world and say that. Dare ya? So no, like he goes from you made money, you did good for you. But here's the thing. I'm gonna kick your ass. like it's the alarming like tonal switch of it was really, really cool. He continues to go off on us. By at this point, it is 12 a.m., 12:30 Central. Okay.
I missed all of it. Okay, so I missed all this. I went to bed early last night. I was exhausted. I went to bed like 20 minutes after Raw.
I was almost going to message you and see if you were awake to see if we could cover the story. Because it was going.
I woke up at like 5 a.m. I checked Twitter. I see Randy Orton swearing at SOULJA Boy, and I just went back to bed. I was like, I can't deal with this right now.
It's too early.
Yeah, when I actually woke up, I looked at all this. I was amazed. And here's my favorite one. They go back and forth again, and Randy says, "You spitting facts? Seems like all you spitting is the same mess you rap about. Not."
Wasted seed. That's all you are. You're wasted seed, dude.
That's like what went viral when he said.
And the thing is, like the like SOULJA Boy is saying, like, I don't need to go to WWE. It's SOULJA's world. It's like, dude. Like, you know, you're not the shit anymore. Like, you need to know this.
He's more relevant than Bow Wow.
SOULJA Boy is?
Yeah.
I could see that. And Bow Wow is like Bow Wow saying that he's just going to walk into WWE and have these big matches, and no one from WWE is saying that to Bow Wow. That's another weird thing is these interactions, especially on social media where it's like front facing and people are always trying to get the
you didn't see Bad Bunny tweeting. He just did the shit. Respect
another thing is like in one of these tweets, Randy Orton goes, "Look at Bad Bunny." He tags him in the tweet, tags Bad Bunny and says, "This guy gets it. He's respectful. He comes into our business. He gives it respect. He gives it real consideration. And he contributes to us now, to what we do. And we have endearing respect for him because he approaches that way. He understands that it's real." And also, like, Orton's not saying, like, yeah, it isn't choreographed. He said, like, but we're tough people. Like, you don't get to do this if you're not fairly tough mentally or physically.
You don't get to do this, sport if you're spitting nut. That's the bottom line. No,
if you're just busting nut, dude, go back to your mom's basement, bro.
I feel like Ric Flair did a lot of that. I don't know if that's a disqualifier.
True. And another one of these tweets, like SOULJA Boy is saying, like, what you do is fake, what I do is real. Like when I'm on stage, it's real. It was like, so when I see someone potentially break their spine in a ring, it isn't real. Like, so it's like,
I guarantee you that SOULJA Boy is one of the terrible rappers where they have a full vocal backing track when he performs too. That's my pet peeve.
When you go to see him live and it's like, oh, you're going to see a big rapper live, and you realize they basically become a hype man for their own track. Like they can't do it live.
That's the worst. I can't go to concerts like that.
I
will say J. Cole, fantastic. He had live instruments. Performed every verse word for word.
Dude, I had a new appreciation
for him. Yeah.
Saw him at Lollapalooza, crushed it. He did everything live. He would add different stuff to songs that weren't in the record to prove to you that he was doing it live. I saw another rapper, and I'm not going to say who it is. Very popular rapper. Okay. I'm not saying who it is because I just don't want to get any nasty comments. But very, very popular rapper, huge, massive crowd at Lollapalooza. One of the biggest concerts in North America. This is like 2 years ago. Massive crowd, like huge, the biggest of the weekend. Clearly only yelling out the choruses to his songs. Like not doing any of the verse, like for multiple songs. Now, mind you, he's drenched in sweat. He's like working the stage, doing all this stuff, right? But it's like, that's the meat, dude. You're just throwing sauce on it. You threw like a whole bottle of barbecue sauce on a single chicken nugget and told me it was a steak. Yeah. So like that's what he's doing.
Yeah. I was in a Seattle music festival, And like I saw Young Thug, and he just seemed like he didn't want to be there. Like he had like a second, one of his other like offshoot rappers there that was rapping more than he was. He would just, I don't want to like it's still fun because of the festival atmosphere, you know. But it's like I don't want to pay money to hear a backing track. I don't want to hear the CD, you know, being played. I want a live performance.
I agree. I don't want a hologram RKO.
I still love Young Thug though. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Young Thug. Please
love the track. Yeah. Love the track. You know, my thing is if you do it in the studio, you got to do it live. You know what I mean? Just like you know, you want a wrestler. If they can only do like a certain move and that's it, then they kind of become like a one-trick pony. You don't want the same thing. But I would say that Randy Orton really, I think, got some attention from the hip hop world. You told us that Reddit, very popular online Reddit community, hip hop heads, was all about this story.
That's the totally number one trending hip hop story of the day is Randy Orton RKOing SOULJA Boy.
I also love that he's using his dad rap speak. Like he's like a guy in his 40s talking about rap that he liked in like the late 2000s. You know, like he's like has no problems. Listen, I bump the tunes. I bump some jams. You know, like I'm hip. I'm cool. I'm with it. But if you say that again, I'm gonna kick your teeth in your throat. Like he like immediately goes back to like old school wrestling Carney, protect the biz. You know, like so that was neat.
I can't get over that nut line, man.
You were still salty for that nut, Tyler. That's
no. Seems like all you spitting is the same mess you rap about. Nut.
We had a wild show today. I haven't had you on in months, and you are making it count, Tyler.
Shout out to Randy Orton.
Shout out to Randy Orton. Shout out Randy.
I may hate this current like Fiend storyline, but Randy Orton always one of the best. Mad respect.
Yeah, Randy Orton's doing some weird stuff at WrestleMania again. Looks like he's gonna get some crazy Gaga match.
I just hope. Remember the last time we faced Bray Wyatt?
Oh yeah, and they did the
steaming entrance.
It was WrestleMania 33. It was in Orlando. It was WrestleMania 33. Yeah. They did like the projection on the ring, and it was like they went for something. They went for something.
Is the opposite because that was like my most anticipated match. That feud was so great going into it.
Yes,
and the match sucked. I'm hoping that this is the opposite, where all this stuff's like terrible. I hope they kill it at WrestleMania, though.
I hope they get to do something cool at WrestleMania. I don't know if a completely pre-filmed Firefly Funhouse cinematic match that I've heard a lot of fans say is going to happen could work here, because you got 2 nights of WrestleMania. These are 2 big stars. Also, like, you know this too, I don't think we get asked about what a character is going to do more.
Have we had a Fiend entrance at like Mania yet? Like a proper Mania? I don't think we have.
No.
But yeah, I want to see that with the crowd.
Yeah. So this is worth noting. Texas today, the state of Texas, has announced that they are going to be at full capacity, despite being in a pandemic, despite us being in this transitional phase of getting people vaccinated, either quickly or slowly, but surely, depending on where you are in the country, getting life back to some formation of what we knew as normal.
Well, you know what they say, Kev, everything's bigger, including COVID rates in Texas.
Jesus. So Texas has announced today that they are going back to 100% capacity, and they included in saying that they want sports and entertainment events to be quickly back. This is, I'm not going to get political. I think this isn't a smart decision for them to do right now. But they're also a state that was hit by this awful blizzard. I think there's an even more of a we're sick of waiting, let's just go mentality. That's it. But there's already been a lot of fans talking to us today at WrestleZone on social media asking, does this mean one of the major wrestling companies is going to go to Texas? Well, we do know that WWE's residency in Tampa Bay at Tropicana Field is due to end. All right. We don't know where they're going to go after that. And we also know that WrestleMania will be the only live event they do with fans until possibly the final quarter of 2021. So there would be a few months where they would want to change things. Do you see WWE going to Texas or maybe moving things over there? I'm going to say no.
I will say I don't think so either, but I will say some good news on like the live entertainment front is Biden was saying today that America will have enough vaccines for every American adult by the end of May. So the timeline has been pushed up So maybe this isn't quite as bad as, if these vaccines, if everybody can get vaccinated,
or
we can be.
There's going to be plenty of people that don't want to get vaccinated. They just
That's true.
Yeah. So there's a lot of hoops to get through. And I bring this up because I don't think they're going to go to Texas. I think they're going to stay in Florida, where they are, their base of operations.
It's easy for the talent that way too.
It's easier for the talent. It's easier for tracing. A majority of the talent have some either partial or private residency there. From people I've talked to, some of them are not staying in hotels. They're renting like a side home with some, like they have different arrangements. So there's that. Also, they're probably getting a good tax deal in Florida. Like their taxes for staying there in the pandemic are probably quite good, or they're getting some nice conditional arrangement. So there's that. I think Texas is seeing that Florida's doing that, and all right, we're going to be the one that bounces and says, "Yeah, bring your stuff here." I don't know
who I do think will go there? UFC, because Dana White has repeatedly said he's not interested in doing just having crowds spaced out. He wants either full attendance or nothing.
Yeah.
So I think they'll put on a big show. Like maybe when McGregor fights next time, they'll do that at Texas. That would make sense to me.
Well, this also does line up with some other things because Texas is hosting WrestleMania next year.
Yep.
And now, mind you, that WrestleMania is scheduled to be one night. I think there's a chance it could get expanded. We're also looking at WWE not launching weekly television shows until the tail end on the road, live audiences for Raw and at least SmackDown until the end of 2021. There's also been talk of them not doing any live events, non-televised events, until sometime in 2022. So Texas is a good spot, I think, to run WrestleMania next year. I think them in Florida right now, that's the smartest thing to do, at least for the foreseeable future. There are some people thinking, though, that SummerSlam could be an event in Boston this year. What do you think of that?
I think that would be really stupid. I'm sure John Clark has already booked a Boston flight.
Well, our very own John Clark is very forward. He's very forward and gung ho about going to WrestleMania this year.
Mania tickets, man. He checks every single day. This man's on
He does. And the thing is, John is younger and he's on the healthier side, so he's committed to the idea. And I feel for John because it's a weird scenario to say you're going to plan this trip now. I know we're talking about WWE live events in the pandemic, but it's worth noting we're less than 40 days away from WrestleMania and tickets are not on sale yet. I talked about that early at the beginning of the show because we get asked every single day we're doing a show here and with our live listeners or our live viewers, are WrestleMania tickets on sale? I get asked that at least once every 72 hours.
Is that just John messaging you?
No, but it's just a sense of anticipation, though. I think there's people want to buy tickets.
Again. It's been over a year. People, dumb or not, whatever. Regardless, people are ready to have events. Texas is ready to open up, and it's going to go on whether you like it or not. At the end of the day.
What do you think the rollout of WrestleMania tickets is going to be here? I think they're waiting so long to announce when these tickets are going to go on sale because they want to release them in a very specific way under these very challenging circumstances.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't know what the logistical hang up is. They saw how the Super Bowl was done. I figured that would be the good test for them to take notes and then they roll it out shortly after, but that hasn't happened yet. Can't take much longer. People still have to book flights and everything,
That's another thing is are they going to limit this to just people in Florida? Is this going to be limited to people in a certain region? Are international fans going to be able to go to this? That's a question I can say. I think it's going to be very hard for you to get into the United States to see this, I think. But it's weird. I've also heard, are they going to go to the route that the NFL did, where they had, about 25,000 fans for the Super Bowl, which was at the same stadium in Tampa? We're going to give 8,000 tickets away to frontline people that we know are vaccinated. And I've heard a lot of people say that WWE should do that. I hope they do that to some degree. I think it would be safer. Nice. Yeah, if you had vaccinated people, if you had 2,000-3,000 people that are vaccinated,
if that happens, John Clark's going to invent a time machine and make sure he was volunteering all this whole time.
I feel for John. He really wants to go. He has a good spirit about it.
He's got his flight booked already.
Dude, he's got his flight booked. He's got the Airbnb thing, and he's checking every day. And I feel for him, man. And I remember in the reverse of this, getting WrestleMania tickets last year, and then having to go through the process of getting the money back and going, and that took a while. It took probably about 2-3 months. So it's weird then to go in the inverse of this. You have to ramp it up now with a couple weeks. They could sell this out fairly quickly if they're going to do 25,000-30,000 people spread out, football stadium. That feels safer now than it would have in the fall of last year, pre-vaccine, post-vaccine, and even further into the vaccine now. Do you think it's safe to do this event? I'm going to say it is. We didn't hear anything bad coming out of the Super Bowl. I think if you have space between people and everyone's doing the right thing and wearing their masks, you can do this event and you can do it safely, especially now.
It depends on your definition of safe, but roughly speaking, in Florida, is it going to endanger any more people in Florida? Probably not. They're already doing everything anyhow. The theme parks are open.
It's the Wild West out there.
If we're doing all that, then we can do a socially distanced wrestling show outdoors.
Yeah, it is the Wild West. It is the Wild Southeast.
Unsafe. Well, So I think that's I think with the broader sense of safe, obviously there's going to be cases it's going to spread from this event to a degree, but do I think it's going to be so a huge spike or anything? No, I think it's relatively safe to put this event on.
I was thinking, especially coming after the Super Bowl, I was like, are we going to get a case here within a week? Or, I was kind of checking 10 days out, and there wasn't anything reported. Now, mind you, maybe something's just not reported. There's plenty of stuff that we just don't see.
Yeah, I'm sure it happened, but it wasn't a huge spike. It wasn't anything super dangerous. So, you know what? Do the event. It's fine. Nobody's going to be outraged that it's happening.
And just have a considerable level of caution and consideration.
Yeah, as long as they're spaced out and they all have masks, and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, that's
not going to be a disaster.
Exactly. We don't want.
It's not going to be Thanksgiving or New Year's Eve parties. We've already had more. We're doing this stuff without events, so it'll be fun.
So some pretty positive news today. Pretty positive news. We got the NWA coming back. WrestleMania tickets will go on sale. Randy Orton is punking out SOULJA Boy.
SOULJA Boy spitting nut.
Bobby Lashley is a champion. I love how Bobby Lashley.
His title wins totally buried. SOULJA Boy spitting nut. And Bobby's is anybody going to talk about me? Sorry, Bobby. There's a lot going on.
Sorry, Bobby.
Crank that.
Is cranking that SOULJA Boy right now. So I know you won the title.
Spit that.
This is your life's work. This is your life's work. But Randy Orton is making the guy who did that one song from when we were in college look like a fool right now on the internet. Tyler, if they want to give you a follow in the Twitter machine, where do they go?
At my name, Tyler Treese. You can follow me there. But mainly follow WrestleZone.com, because that's where you find all the news, all exciting wrestling coverage, the best in the world. Mm-hmm. Randy Orton. We're no SOULJA Boys. We ain't spitting nut. We're spitting facts. That's all
you keep going back to that. You keep going.
It's so funny. It's the greatest wrestling moment since I joined this site.
Are you serious?
Easily.
You've been with the site for how many years now? How long have you been with the wrestling site?
2.5. This is the best moment. I'm so mad I didn't get I wish I had stayed up late so I could have wrote that article. Because that's the one thing where, even if I'm off shift, I would have written that with glee. And I've been so happy about it.
That happened. I was almost going to message you. But they're an hour ahead of me. I'm in Central Time Zone.
This is what I get for messing up and waking up at 6 a.m. Getting a start on the day is not worth missing. SOULJA Boy spitting nut.
Do you think they turn it into an angle? No. I don't think you can trust SOULJA Boy.
And SOULJA Boy was just accused of sexual assault a month back.
Let's not. I didn't know that. Let's not even touch him.
You don't want to.
No. No, thank you. No, thank you. Don't need it. Not a fan. A controversial statement there.
Although I do have to say, "Kiss Me Through the Phone's an alright song."
You're going back to "Kiss Me Through the Phone."
It's kind of catchy, man.
You're ridiculous. Yes, give him a follow on the Twitter machine at Tyler Treese.
Unfollow SOULJA Boy.
Don't follow SOULJA Boy. Well, follow
Randy Orton.
If you wanted to see the tea, you want to see people roast SOULJA Boy, just go search SOULJA Boy on Twitter. You can do that. That's fine. And don't worry, you won't be giving them clout by doing that.
Follow Kev Kellum.
Yeah, give me a follow on the Twitter machine at Kev Kellum. I'm going to be doing some live socially distant shows myself that I feel safe about doing. And doing them the right way. March 12th, Madame Zuzu's in the North Burbs of Chicago. I'm going to be hosting that show with the very funny Soli Santos. And then I'll be doing two socially distant shows in Valparaiso, Indiana, at the Market Lounge Comedy Club. Search Valparaiso, Indiana, Market Lounge. Give it a Google, the Market Lounge Comedy Club. Tickets are cheap, affordable. The venue is safe, great drinks. If you know anyone in Valparaiso, tag them, let them know about it. And I'll be doing some more events throughout 2000.
I also got one more Twitter recommendation.
Sure.
If you need daily WrestleMania updates, ticket updates, follow John Clark.
Oh, no.
John Clark 12.
Dude, no, John's on it, though.
Every day.
John's on it. He's on it. He's going to be like the one person from WrestleZone, I think, there this year. So
yeah, he's going to tweet it out. Like, he's so on the nose with this. He's going to know it before anybody. He's going to be the first to discover this.
I'm going to ask him before I even Google it.
Like this dude's refreshing Ticketmaster like hourly.
Can you blame him though when he's that invested?
No wonder he got a PlayStation 5 at launch. Look at his commitment here.
Dude, he's on that stuff though. When I've talked to him about like getting tickets or when something's coming out and there's a high anticipation, he's one of those people that's like really on it. Like there's some people like that with the vaccine. There's like some people I know that like they were on it and they just knew where to look or what time. They knew what time. I guess the timing is when you do it, like the time frame when you do it when something's so high demand. So that's worth noting. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. We have hours and hours of content. We just dropped 2 giant interviews today. Former NWA Women's Champion, one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time, one of the toughest people to ever get in a wrestling ring, Jazz, speaks with us in an exclusive interview. Big Money Matt Hardy, days before he takes on Hangman Page at AEW Revolution this weekend. We also have a special interview with him as well. A lot to talk to in the weeks ahead. So you get those shows, multiple WrestleZone wrap-ups, the AEW Dynamite show, 2 Diamond Dudes, the SmackDown Double Down. We have so much great content for you. If you're an Audible, podcast person, it's all on-demand shows just like this. And if you're listening to this one, go check out the other ones we did from like our Raw post show from last night as well. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you are. Remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing. It's not listen to SOULJA Boy or chase around Tyler's dog Coda, whatever that dog is doing at the moment. It's enjoy wrestling.